The Dutch have the bulk of the support inside the stadium in Kansas today. And now they have to deliver, already guaranteed a place in the round of 32, but they want to do it as group winners to potentially give them a slightly easier route through towards the business end of this competition. At the same time in Dallas, Japan and Sweden are preparing to get underway. You can follow that game over on Talk Sport with Mike Saul and Perry Groves. It's a good night to download the Talk Sport app if you've not done that already, to swipe between the two commentaries, and that's also the case later on. We will be following Paraguay against Australia here on Talk Sport, and Turkey against the USA on Talk Sport 2. Both of those are 3 a.m. kickoffs, and we'll be looking forward to that USA game, and also him on the England camp during half-time in this game today. Renard, the coach of Tunisia, of course he wasn't at the start of the World Cup, but Tachidawi, that's not helped the team. You've been part of squads and major tournaments, because if the coach gets sacked after one game, it's chaos everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely so. You know, I think it's been a bit of a shambles, to be honest, and not fair on the players. All the fans that have paid a lot of money to come here and to support this team. There's not much that Renard can do in such a short amount of time. They lose the first game heavily, they lose the second game heavily. I think if anything, what they want to see is improvements again today. No one's expecting them to beat the Dutch, but they want to see a little bit of a fight, a little bit more resilience within the team.
Katia Garcia of Mexico is our referee. Eric Miranda in charge of VAR here today, also a Mexican. And this is a really great stadium for international football, a completely open ground, of course, so if there are issues with the weather, everybody will certainly feel it, and a number of the fans still have their waterproofs on following a heavy downpour before kickoff, but the rain seems to have eased
till kickoff.
before this game.
One more time for Tunisia!
And Tunisia, their final match before they head home, but for the Dutch, they're looking to build another very good campaign in the World Cup. No one has played as many finals as them
and
without winning the tournament.
Time if you are here for Team Netherlands, make some noise!
They're a team in excellent form, and they usually do well in the group stage. They've not lost a game in a World Cup group stage since a defeat against Belgium back in 1994. And Scotland, that famous game in 1978, the goal from Archie Gemmill, that's the only other group stage loss that the Dutch have suffered in any of their World Cup tournaments. Ronald Koeman, of course, part of some very good Dutch teams in the past. He played in 1994. And he's watching his team about to get this game underway
for the countdown to kickoff, powered by Aramco.
And it's shirts and match shorts who will get this game underway. Tunisia wearing
Let's count it down.
all white today.
10, 9.
The countdown is underway in the stadium. I think we're used to this by now. And the Netherlands looking to finish top of this group. They get the game underway, defending the goal away to our right in the first half. And Van Dijk quickly finding Ake on this near side. The one change for the Netherlands from the victory against Sweden, Mickey van der Ven dropping down to the bench as he looks to just manage his yellow card for as long as he can during the tournament. And already the Tunisians, Tash, incredibly deep.
And a back five, you know, we were wondering whether they would go 4-3-3 and be a little bit more positive. I did the Saudi Arabia game when they went to a back five against Spain, and you saw the way that went. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to concede goals with a back five. If anything, you're inviting more pressure, and actually I'm a little bit disappointed to see that set up so early.
Well, Interesting times for Hervé Renard, their coach. He was in charge of Saudi Arabia, got them to the World Cup. He was then sacked and then took over from Sabri Lamouchi after the 5-1 defeat in the opening game against Sweden. But Tunisia looking to come forward here. An early cross into the penalty area, and it's blazed over the top by Ismail Garbi. And the Augsburg midfielder should have given Tunisia the lead.
Absolutely should have. I mean, it's great play actually by Mistori there to make really nothing out of something, you know, and cuts it back there and should score. Got to score. Got it, hit it down into the ground. And actually, we spoke about Netherlands not keeping a clean sheet in 6 games. They do look vulnerable on the counter times.
Well, of course, they always look to push the fullbacks forward, including Denzel Dumfries, who is heavily advanced on the right-hand side, but now there's an opportunity for Cody Gakpo on the left to come in field. He's got support from Ake, and now Van Dijk, who is now only 1 goal behind Ronald Koeman in the goal-scoring charts for Dutch defenders, and he's got time to find Frenkie de Jong, and wide to Dumfries again. And now Van Hekke, who was moved to Tottenham during this tournament, in towards de Jong, and it's laid off by Brobbey, and Marlon down the right hand side finding Dumfries, and the low ball, and it's sliced in, and it's an own goal from the captain Elis Shaqiri. A gift for the Dutch within 3 minutes. A terrific ball whipped into the penalty area. Shaqiri had to deal with it, but all he could do was slice it into his own net, and it's Tunisia 0, the Netherlands 1.
And I think this is where the Netherlands are so strong. First of all, it's Brobbey. Great hold-up play. Pinning it, sets it off. And again, it's the main man, Dumfries. The amount of balls that he has put in. I mean, if he doesn't score an own goal, it's a tap-in for Brobbey. And that is pretty much a carbon copy of the same goal that they scored last game against Sweden. They did well to get out wide. But there's no pressure on the ball as well. I think that's really poor. We speak about that back 5. How are you not getting pressure on the ball to stop the cross? But it's a great start.
Alain Shaqiri of Eintracht Frankfurt, the captain of Tunisia, with a horrible moment at the start of the game at the heart of their
Goal for
back 5.
Netherlands.
But as you say, he had to try and do something, otherwise Brobbey would have put the ball in anyway, you feel.
And this is the problem now, you know, does the game plan now go out the window? You go with the back 5 trying to stay in the game, build into the game, maybe get to half-time 0-0, but you're going to concede it within 3 minutes, and you know it's going to be hard enough to score against this team, and this is why I think it's a dangerous game going so deep.
And that's the 12th own goal in this World Cup so far, as Hannibal plays it back out towards Garbi, who should have scored before the own goal and given Tunisia the lead. They try and build now down their right-hand side with Jan Valery, the Sheffield Wednesday player who ended the season on loan at Young Boys in Switzerland. And Valery coming forward here, but Ake steps in to clear for the Netherlands on this near side. He was looking for Gakpo, but it was quickly cut out by Talbi, and it will be a throw-in for the Netherlands.
Yeah, you mentioned Hannibal there. I think that he is so key today. You know, I think he's got the most assists, most presses, most crosses for Tunisia, so they have to get him on the ball. He is their main man, the creator.
Dumfries again coming forward down the right, swirls in another cross, but this time Ayman Darman is able to gather. The Tunisian goalkeeper wearing all sky blue, defending the goal away to our left. The situation in Group F, it's still 0-0 between Japan and Sweden in Dallas. The Netherlands have 7 points, Japan have 5, Sweden have 4, and Tunisia have 0. And if that game did finish as a draw in Dallas, long way to go, of course, or even if Sweden won, that would be even more bad news for Scotland. Everything has gone against them since their defeat last night with South Africa, stunning South Korea, and tonight Ecuador coming from behind to beat Germany. Van Hekke now for the Netherlands, finding Donald Marlon, who comes in field, plays the 1-2 with Brobbey on the edge of the penalty area, and then Marlon was caught late there, and it will be a free kick for the Netherlands in a dangerous area. and some of their combination play has been really good so far.
Yeah, it really is, and it's different. Gakpo's different to a Marlon. Gakpo will come in, will look to kind of get shots off, look to combine, and Marlon tends to drift then as well inside, and then it allows them, the fullbacks, to be able to overload and get those crosses in, and there's triangles and pockets all over the place. But this is a great position for the Netherlands.
It's a free kick, which is wide on the right-hand side. And we're going to loft this ball high into the penalty area. Reinders is over it, high towards Van Dijk, who heads it across, and at the far post it's hammered in by Brobbey. And the Dutch are making very short work of Tunisia here. 2 up within 7 minutes. Another very well-made goal, and Brian Brobbey of Sunderland was on the end of it. His third goal of this World Cup. Tunisia 0, the Netherlands 2, and the Dutch on the way to winning the group.
I mean, it's quite embarrassing, to be honest. First of all, I want to compliment the Dutch. Verge does great there, Van Dijk, to head it back across goal, and it's a lovely finish. Robbie is on fire. You're not going to miss from there, but free header initially, a free shot from 2 yards out. It's not good enough. I talk about how are they going to improve. You get beat 5-0, you get beat 4-0. Come into this game with a little bit of pride. Give your fans something to cheer about, and you're 2-0 down after 4 minutes. It's embarrassing and it's not good enough.
Tunisia have now conceded 11 goals at this World Cup. They've never lost all 3 group games before. The goal is just being checked by Eric Miranda, the VAR official. He's been talking to Katia Garcia, and the goal has been given. On first viewing, there didn't look to be anything wrong with it, and it's 2-0 to the Netherlands with less than 8 minutes played here in Kansas on TalkSport 2. And Tunisia looking to come forward again, and the goal difference for the Dutch could be important if Japan also get on a roll against Sweden, because they came into this game leading Japan on goals scored as the cross is fired high by Ben Slimani for Tunisia, and in the end the shot at the far post from Abdi was snatched wide, and it will be a goal kick for the Netherlands. 2 up here already, and they've made the sort of start they did against Sweden, where they were really out of the blocks very quickly, and Graham Potter's team could do nothing about it.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly that. Sometimes when you do come up against that back 5, you have to be patient. But one thing that I was really impressed with the Netherlands is how quick they did come out against Sweden, and they've done that exactly the same today.
Now Gakpo on this near side, finding De Jong. And Gravenberg in towards Brobbey, almost laid off towards Marlon, but some desperate defending in there, and Hannibal will try and bring it clear here for Tunisia, but he pulls back Dumfries on the far side, and it will be a free kick for the Netherlands. And they look as though they're going to score every time they go forward.
I have to say, though, having Brobbey in that number 9 gives them a completely different element as well, because they have the outlet out wide with the wide players, with the overlapping fullbacks, but they also have that target player that they can work off Brobbey, create the spaces to then get it out wide. I think he is really, really so important this tournament.
Now Gakpo attacking down the left-hand side. The cross is high and beyond everybody and over the top, and it will be a goal kick. Incredibly, Tunisia did not concede a goal in World Cup qualifying. They were the first ever side to do that before the Ivory Coast and England managed to replicate that later on in the qualification. But they are a team that never have too much stability. They had 3 coaches during qualification. Of course, they didn't concede a goal. They brought in Lamucci before the World Cup. They sacked him after 1 game. And now they have Hervé Renard, and although he's got a very good CV in Africa, winning AFCON with both Zambia and the Ivory Coast, you just wonder what they'll do next and where he'll be going next.
Well, you can kind of predict that, I think. Yeah, and it's sad, like you said, and Abdi spoke up about that, and it doesn't seem a happy camp, and where do they go from here? You know, you're 2-0 down with only 10 minutes played. You know, do you really believe in what the coach has brought in? You know, it's a really hard environment to be around.
Well, the Dutch have picked a strong side here today, and I think it's a good policy from Ronald Koeman, because he's got the players out there that could win this game very quickly, and then he can make changes. Marlon coming forward now on the outside, low ball into the penalty area again. It's squeezed away and fired back through the crowd by De Jong, and it's blocked. Doesn't quite fall for Gakpo, and Tunisia will try and break now with Norwich's Ben Slimani over the halfway line and further wide towards this near side, and Valerie of Sheffield Wednesday, the low cross into the penalty area, looking for the run of Mastori, but in the end the Dutch will clear. But now Garbi tries to play a 1-2 on this near side, but the Dutch will smuggle the ball behind, and Tunisia have the game's first corner. Nathan Ake got the final touch.
Yeah, that's better by Tunisia. You know, they like nice little combination plays. They're very effective on the counter-attack. That's not an issue. It's the other end of the pitch that they're struggling with. But I think this is a real positive sign. Good reaction from conceding the 2 goals. 11 minutes in and you get yourself a nice early corner.
Well, only Germany have now scored more goals than the Netherlands in this tournament, and Tunisia have conceded the most and counting. But they have a corner here. It's played short to Hannibal and laid further back out to Garbi, and then a high swinging ball from Valerie, and the header towards goal is straight into the arms of Bart Verbruggen, and it was Anis Ben Slimani who was on the end of that, and maybe he should have scored as well.
And I think this is a different, Nigel, if we're talking about the top teams. They score those goals. That's not a hard header. It's actually a really well-worked corner. They play it short. The Dutch team come out and then it's whipped in and he gets a good contact, but you've got to head it down into the ground. It's straight at the keeper there, and that's 2 opportunities where they could have 2 goals within the first 12 minutes.
And you're listening to World Cup Game Day live on TalkSport 2, brought to you by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. 12 minutes played, Tunisia 0, the Netherlands 2. A high ball played forward again for the Dutch, looking for Marlon down the right, but it's hooked away by Ben Hamida, and then Mastori coming very deep to gather, player who plays in the Russian league for Dynamo Makashkala. And now Hannibal again, one of the English-based players in the Tunisian team, and the captain, the player who scored the own goal. Shipri will clear, but the Dutch quickly win it back, but Ake eventually has to dive in to stop Ben Slimani playing it forward. Still Japan 0, Sweden 0 over on TalkSport. The other game in Dallas in this group. The conclusion of Group F, but the Netherlands at the moment are heading through with Japan in second place, and Sweden looking very good for qualification in third. And we still have more football to come following these games. 3 a.m. start over on TalkSport. Cameron Pope and Alvin Martin will bring you Paraguay against Australia. Turkey against the USA will be here on TalkSport 2 with Ian Danta and Luke Chambers. England, of course, next in action on Saturday night, live on TalkSport, the game against Panama. And we'll be hearing from the Liverpool defender, or former Liverpool defender, Yarel Quansah, during half-time.
Yeah, really interesting just there, looking at the number 9 Mastori for Tunisia. They actually kept it really well there and actually just gained a little bit of possession, you know, killed the Dutch momentum, goes back to the keeper Darman, who then kicks it long, and you can see Mastori telling him just to calm down. It's really important that when they have these moments, they keep the ball and they're patient with it.
Well, they've got 5 forward here. Mastori, wide towards Ben Slimani on the right. It's cut back into the penalty area. It breaks kindly for Talbi. Now Ben Slimani again, managing to stay onside, lifts across it, looking for Hannibal, and it was just over his head and behind for a goal kick.
I mean, I've been critical of their start, but actually they've had the best chances so far, Nigel. That's 3 opportunities now, and again, Hannibal, for me, who's their star player, has to get contact on that. It's a great ball in, he takes his eyes off the ball, he's only 5 yards out. A massive opportunity, and for the Dutch, this is a little bit of a worry. You know, against the Tunisia team to be conceding 3 opportunities so early on, against better teams, you could be punished and that could be game over.
Well, the first goal, an own goal. As we said, it was the 12th of the tournament, which equals the record set at a World Cup in 2018. And in that World Cup, I remember seeing Tunisia take England all the way in the opening game. It took Harry Kane scoring the winner in the final moments in a 2-1 win, and that was lift-off for England in the tournament, which eventually saw them reach the semi-finals as Ben Hamida challenges Tiani Reinders on the far side and concedes a free kick, which will be better than a corner for the Dutch down the right. And at the moment, Tunisia have missed opportunities at one end and they look very fallible at the other with 16 minutes played, 2-0 down.
And it's naivety like that, you know, not going anywhere, and you give away a foul and a really now dangerous free kick where it didn't need to happen. And I think that's where it's really letting Tunisia down in moments like this defensively.
Virgil van Dijk has led his players towards the penalty area once again. There's a clutch of players wrestling just on the edge of the penalty area, and then the free kick's whipped in and headed over the top by Van Hekke. But again, a free header for the Dutch and a set piece inside the Tunisia penalty area.
I think that's the thing as well, when you look at your Cape Verdes and some of these teams that have really performed when no one expects them to. I'm not saying it's easy to come up against this Dutch team, but when you're playing, it's 11 v 11, Nigel, and I think this is the most important thing and the frustrating thing for me is that, yes, going forward they actually look quite lively, but the two goals they've conceded have been really poor. They've conceded goals in areas where you know the Dutch are strong. You know how strong Dumfries is, but they've given him all the time in the world to be able to deliver across. An own goal comes from that, and then a set piece where you know the Dutch are strong from that as well. It's a free header, and then it's a free tap-in. Those are moments where they have to be more intense in their play.
Brian Brobbe scoring his third goal of this World Cup. He's had 3 shots. That's the sort of efficiency used to show in the WSL.
Prolific, yeah. And I mean, as a number 9, this is the type of team you want to be playing in. You don't have to get involved in the play. Get yourself in the box within the width of the post, and you've got the players that are going to put balls in for you.
Well, for a long time, Brian Brobbe was at Ajax, and people were wondering if he would step up to the very highest level, but he's playing in the Premier League now, scoring goals, and he's playing in a World Cup scoring goals as well. Here is Van Dijk, though, midway inside the Tunisia half. He's got support from Van Hekke. A low ball threaded in towards Reinders on the edge of the penalty area, but Tunisia will win the ball back, and there's almost a testimonial feel around the crowd at the moment. Not too much noise around Kansas, a big crowd in, but they're rather purring, the Dutch fans, because they're seeing their team in total control here, and with it being goalless in Dallas between Japan and Sweden, they're in control of the group as well.
I mean, this game couldn't be going more to plan, to be honest. They can have fun, they can express themselves, keep trying to do the right things as well. Keep a clean sheet, I think, will be a really important part. But then, like you said, at half-time, you can bring on the likes of your Somervilles, who will be really disappointed to have not started.
Now a ball clearance, releasing Dumfries, and Reinders inside the penalty area, tries to flip the ball over the advancing goalkeeper, but Darman did well to smother the shot, and it's gone behind for a corner kick. Mark van Bommel among the special guests watching on today, and it was a Van Bommel type run from Reinders into the penalty area there, but the Dutch, as the rain comes down again, have a corner kick.
Yeah, it really was. He's done that all tournament, those third man runs, has looked a real threat. Great save by Darman.
Corner kick for the Dutch on the right hand side. Reinders will take it. Van Dijk will make a late run into the penalty area. Van Hekke goes there first, but then strikes Ake, who was wrestling with his opposite number inside the penalty area, so as a result was unable to get the shot in. It was Talby who eventually cleared. And we played 20 minutes here on TalkSport 2 in Group F of the 2026 World Cup. The Netherlands leading by 2 goals to 0. And the Tunisian captain, El Shaqiri, is heading over to change his shirt on the near side as we have a Mexican wave sweeping around the stadium. A bit early for that, the 20 minutes play.
I was about to say, that's always a bad sign when the Mexican wave starts. I don't think it's been that boring the first 20 minutes.
Well, we've certainly had opportunities. The Dutch scoring twice. They've had 3 shots, 1 on target, and so too have the Tunisians, but the Dutch have been clinical so far. And now Dumfries goes back to Jean-Paul Van Hekke on the far side. When you look down this Dutch squad, they do have depth. Mickey van der Ven on the bench today. They've got Lucho Alhotroide, another Sunderland player who's done well. He came in for Yurin Timber following his injury just before the tournament. And Justin Kluivert is also a possibility, along with Crescencio Somerville. So Koeman's team are in a very good place at the moment as Marlon comes forward here. Still 0-0 between Japan and Sweden in Dallas. Van Dijk square towards Ake down the left-hand side. Poe quickly plays it in field, but Ake will keep the move going, and at the moment it's been played at a testimonial pace, but the Dutch happy to play keep ball and just work Tunisia here. And Van Dijk finding Ake again. And Van Dijk almost playing as a central midfielder on towards Reinders. Both central defenders for the Netherlands are 30 yards away from the Tunisian goal. That gives you an indication of the territorial dominance at the moment. Gravenberg. Square towards De Jong. And the Barcelona midfielder very rarely wastes a pass, and with so little pressure on the ball from Tunisia here, he's putting on a clinic. Wide to Gakpo. On the left-hand side, Gakpo's got support from Ake, and eventually Tunisia will win it back on this near side with Talbi, but there is pressure on Jan Valery, and eventually he's won the free kick. And that's an escape for Tunisia, because they were chasing shadows there, and they really need the hydration break to try and regroup.
Yeah, they absolutely do, and I think what's been impressive about the Dutch as well is actually the counter press. So yes, they're possessing the ball, they're keeping it, but then as soon as they give it away, they're winning it back again, and it's relentless at the moment, and Tunisia will be very, very happy to see this hydration break.
Well, you can hear the boos from the Dutch fans in Kansas, because they don't want to see their team heading over to this near side to take on fluids, because they are right on top in this game, and on a grey day full of rain we have a hydration break, and Renard looking to get into some of his Tunisian players, but from very early on in this game he's looked like a coach who's just sent a team out here.
And you know what, right now I'm thinking, what can you say, really as a coach in that kind of position? You're trying to be positive, you're trying to say, right, show a bit of pride, get back in the game, but also talking about the Dutch team, Nigel, I think that giving other players a bit of an opportunity. We spoke about it, Kluivert, who hasn't had any game time, Beckhorst as well. I think it'll be quite nice to actually see some fresh faces and get people a little bit of run out. You can see here the goal's going in, I mean it's whipped in there, and it's an ugly own goal, but you've got to have some sort of contact, otherwise it's one of those, it's whipped into a good area where the keeper can't come, but if the defender goes, then you know it's going in.
Yeah, the own goal from Elis Shaqiri in the 3rd minute, and Brian Brobbey finishing off a set piece in the 7th minute. Tunisia have had their opportunities, but they've not been as proficient as the Dutch so far. They're also hydrating in Dallas, where it's 0-0 between Japan and Sweden at the moment. Don't forget, coming up later on, Paraguay against Australia on TalkSport following the Japan-Sweden game. And here on TalkSport 2, it is Turkey against the United States, also at 3 a.m. with Ian Danter and Luke Chambers. And tomorrow night we have the conclusion of the French group. They've got Norway, and Norway win, and they could win that group as well. That's on TalkSport with Natalie Sawyer, Joe Shannon and Mark McGee. Senegal against Iraq will be on TalkSport 2. And then into the early hours of Saturday morning, great game in prospect. Uruguay against Spain at 1 o'clock on TalkSport. Cape Verde against Saudi Arabia will be on TalkSport 2. A win for Saudi Arabia, and they will probably go through ahead of Scotland as one of the 3rd place teams, maybe even higher, who knows. And then 4 a.m. starts, New Zealand against Belgium and Egypt against Iran. The Belgium game on TalkSport, the Egyptian game on TalkSport 2. And then Saturday night, 10 o'clock, Panama against England on TalkSport, with Croatia against Ghana on TalkSport 2. Everybody is sufficiently hydrated, and we are back underway with 26 minutes played on TalkSport 2. Tunisia 0, the Netherlands 2. Van Dijk winning a header-on challenge, finding Brobbey on the halfway line. He's got time to turn in field, but his crossfield ball was a poor one, and it's being quickly cut out by Ali Abdi. And then a good challenge, and Marlon will chase him. Long ball forward down the centre very quickly, but it's tidied up by Ben Hamida, and all the way back to Ayman Darman again.
I think these hydration breaks, to be honest, for teams like Tunisia, when they are in these situations, are a lifesaver, to be honest, because we've been laughing about it, haven't we, about the quarters. You know, it's very American, but they can break the game down into quarters. You're 2-0 down in the first quarter. You have to do better in the second quarter. You have to get into the break at half-time, either scoring a goal and getting yourself a little bit of a lifeline, or keeping it like this. You can't afford to concede any more goals, because then this game could go to a 5, 6, 7-0.
Brian Brobbey penalised there midway inside the Tunisian half. Ronald Koeman not too impressed about the decision, but Tunisia have the ball on halfway. And the Dutch with nearly 70% of the possession so far. It's back with Darman, the Tunisian goalkeeper, who clears it long downfield, but the Dutch quickly win it back. Gakpo plays it inside, and now Gravenberg steaming into the penalty area. Low shot from him, took a deflection, and it bubbles behind for a corner kick. But we'll see Ryan Gravenberg do that so often for Liverpool, and the cover ahead of him there just melted away.
Yeah, another one, if I'm being honest, having watched Liverpool a lot this season, who hasn't been himself, has been quite quiet, but has shone in this tournament. Already got 2 assists to his name. And I mean, that is Gravenberg, the way he can drive, penetrate, is really good, can manipulate the ball well, and unlucky with the finish there. Good defending actually by Tunisia.
Reinders will take the corner kick on this near side, the left. 28 minutes played. The Dutch 2 up. Reinders plays it short towards the edge of the penalty area. Marlon will curl it in right-footed and got the shot all wrong, and it's well wide.
I never understand that. You know you're strong at set pieces. They've scored a lot of goals this tournament already, and then you go short and play to a player that hasn't scored yet in the tournament and probably isn't going to score from that type of distance out. When you've got, you know, the big players like Virgil, who's so strong in the area. Don't know why they went short there, the Dutch. Poor decision.
Well, we've seen that happen quite a lot in the tournament. We've seen so many short corners, and I was covering the Bosnia-Qatar game last night, and maybe it's because the Bosnians all seem to be 7 foot tall, but not a single corner got played into the penalty area by Qatar. If anything, they were looping them wide to the far post outside the penalty area.
Yeah, for me, don't overcomplicate the game. You know, it's a simple game. If you know you're strong at something, continue to do it. They know they're strong out wide. How many times since the assist to Dumfries got on the ball? Continue to do what you're good at.
Now, Marlon with a high cross into the penalty area. Gakpo with a header. And he seemed to head the ball into the ground across the face of goal when it looked easy to score, but the Dutch do have a free kick anyway. A foul by Mastori on Van Dijk midway inside the Tunisian half, but that should have been 3-0.
And how easy was it? You get it wide again, you know you're good at that, early cross from Marlon, and Gakpo has to score. It's a free header 5 yards out of the back of the post. I think he's closed his eyes, he's completely misheaded it. That should have been 3-0 to the Netherlands.
Now it's played forward by Gravenberg. Brobbey with his back to goal, lays it back, and the shot again is deflected wide. It was Dumfries this time, but the Dutch beginning to take a firm grip on this game once again.
Oh, this puts a big smile on my face, it really does. Old school number 9 centre forward play. You don't see this that often, and I mean, we talk about the way I used to play. This is what I love. Brobbey pins the centre half, give me the ball, and they can just play into him. You've got runners off of him. He's doing great in that position.
Ruben Nistelrooy among the coaching staff as well, as the corner was played in, but play's been stopped by Katia Garcia before the ball arrived. And the corner kick will be taken again. And Brian Brobbey is a bit of a throwback. We often see lone strikers. Brobbey, though, is comfortable at playing off somebody as well. Reinders with a deeper corner in, fisted away by the goalkeeper. Marlon with the shot, bobbles into the ground, and in the end it had to be cleared, and it was by Abdi on this near side, but it's won back by Reinders, who tries to clip it into the penalty area, but it's gathered by Darman, the Tunisian goalkeeper.
And now he's going long when you've been under pressure and under the cosh and had no possession. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, Hannibal does well to win a free kick. I'm not actually sure it was a free kick. But I mean, a little bit of common sense. Take your time, play short, possess the ball a little bit. You're going long into a 50-50 against people like Virgil van Dijk, you know, strong centre halves that are going to win the ball there. It's absolutely blowing my mind, the decision making by this Tunisia team in this first half.
Well, they've got a free kick here. Hannibal plays it short, and now Garbi, who lets fly from 30 yards and drags it well wide, and again Renard just turns away because his team have created openings here, and I don't see either side keep. Well, obviously Tunisia haven't kept a clean sheet, but I can see the Dutch conceding here as well, because Tunisia are finding room.
And I think that's the one positive that they can take from this first 30 minutes, is actually they've created 3 or 4 really good opportunities against a really strong Dutch team.
32 minutes played on TalkSport 2. It is still 0-0 over on TalkSport between Japan and Sweden. So at the moment the Dutch will win the group, Japan in second, Sweden in third, but if they pick up a point they'll be on 4 points and they'll be looking very good for the round of 32, and that would be another problem for Scotland, and those problems have been mounting up ever since the full-time whistle went in Miami last night. Now Van Dijk wide towards Ake again. Every single Dutch outfield player is deep inside the Tunisian half here. They've really got them penned in. Dumfries back towards Van Hekke. Marlon tries to flick the ball on towards Gravenberg on the edge of the penalty area. Now Gravenberg looks to roll the challenge as he heads into the box, but he's robbed eventually, and it's brought clear by Garbi, and Garbi now works it wide to this near side, and Abdi with a long ball forward. It was possibly not the best option. It was almost gathered by Mastori, but claimed by Verbruggen on the edge of the area.
Yeah, you can't fault the honesty, you know, the willing runners when they get the ball, but it is that final decision that's being rushed. You know, it's not necessarily always the first pass or the first run that's the right one. Actually, that run is to then create space for someone else, and that has let them down.
Just watching on the replay monitor, Ryan Gravenberg with that drag back to evade the challenge on the edge of the penalty area, but Garbi has it now for Tunisia. He's challenged though 25 yards from goal, and it's funneled back towards the Brighton goalkeeper. Bart Verbruggen, 10 clean sheets in the Premier League last season, hoping for his first one here at the World Cup. And the Dutch, of course, failing to qualify in 2018, but they lost out on penalties in both 2014 and then 4 years ago in that dramatic night against Argentina, the Battle of Lusail, when they came from 2-0 down with 2 very late goals from Wout Weghorst before losing in the shootout. As Hannibal plays it forward now for Tunisia, and that's an interesting ball, and the chase on this near side, and a good ball into the penalty area from Valery. He was running out of room, but in the end there was no menace on the cross, and Verbruggen will gather.
Yeah, Virgil van Dijk has had a little bit of a go at his team there, giving away cheap possession, and actually then they're really open and they're spread, and Tunisia are then able actually to get down the Dutch's left hand side, Tunisia's right hand side, a bit too easy.
Gakpo challenged on this near side by Garbi, and it will be a throw-in for the Netherlands. Inside Arrowhead Stadium holds around 76,000. They've seen some pretty good games here so far. The Messi hat-trick against Algeria, the historic point for Curacao, and it's the venue for 6 games, including a quarter-final. As the Dutch move breaks down on this near side again, but Valery just runs it out of play. Still goalless in Dallas.
Yeah, I think this is where Koeman will actually be at half-time maybe not be happy with a little bit of the Dutch play. Yes, they are winning 2-0, but when it becomes too easy and becomes like a bit of a training game, you get a little bit slotty. You start doing things that maybe you wouldn't do against a top team like the French team, an English team, an Argentinian team. They have to keep the habits good, because as soon as you get into the knockout stages, you can't afford to drop your standard by 1%, and they've done that the last probably 5-10 minutes, the Dutch.
Well, they were 2 goals up in 6 minutes, 24 seconds, and that's the quickest the team has gone 2-0 up in a World Cup game since 2002. But this game could be 4-2 so far. There have been opportunities at both ends. Now Hannibal on the far side, using the ball well, and he's got support from Ben Hamida. And it's forward to Nastori, who tries to thread the eye of a needle, but Ake has given it straight to Hannibal. And Hannibal now looking to direct the traffic at the heart of the Tunisian midfield, and he's played a good ball forward towards Abdi. He pulls it back in towards the penalty spot area. And in the end, it was Ben Slimani who tried to fire the ball towards goal, but he was crowded out, and maybe he wasn't the better option there.
And again, they get into a really good area. Hannibal, it must be so frustrating for him. He's everywhere, isn't he, at the moment for Tunisia? He's the one trying to make something happen, but he just doesn't have the quality of players around him to be able to really create something. He picks out a great pass, but again, it's the wrong decision. There's 3 or 4 bodies in the box there, and he picks the wrong choice.
Here is Van Dijk for the Netherlands. 37 minutes played here on TalkSport in Group F. And at the moment, the Dutch are going to win the group. 2-0 up here, with Japan drawing 0-0 with Sweden in Dallas. And you can follow that game on the TalkSport app over on TalkSport as De Jong clips it wide to the far side, and Dumfries. And Marlon looking to go beyond Abdi, but Abdi stands firm, wins it back from the Aston Villa player who had a very good spell on loan at Roma towards the end of the season. Only Harry Kane scored more goals than Donald Marlon following his arrival in the Eternal City. Van Dijk has it again. And he really could be playing with a cigar here. Now Van Hekke wide towards Dumfries. And this is just the game that the Netherlands will have been looking for after a really tough match against the Japanese and a really fine performance against Sweden. Marlon on the far side with support from Dumfries. Hannibal lunges in with the challenge, but he won the ball, and Tunisia will try and work their way out of trouble. Shaqiri, the captain, high and wide towards this near side, and Jan Valery, dreadful ball from him though, and Reinders will win it back, finding Brobe. He lays it back to Gravenberg, who lets fly and gets right underneath it. 25 yards out, 30 yards over the bar.
Yeah, that's been the pattern of play for the Dutch team. Again, the counter press, winning the ball back high. Yes, sloppy turnover by Tunisia, but it's up into Brobbey, it's back, and then it's forward with the shot. And it's been really lovely seeing that pattern. I've been sitting here with a smile on my face just watching Brobbey, and the way that he's constantly looking to pin the centre halves and always be an option. And he has been that option. He's been one of the standout players this first half.
And now De Jong winning his 69th cap for the Netherlands this evening. And again, he's another player who has not had to get anywhere near top gear so far. Such has been the control the Dutch have had in the game. A high ball in towards Reinders on this near side, but it just spins over his shoulder and out of play, and that will be a goal kick.
It'll be really interesting to see at half-time what the managers do. You'd like the Tunisia manager, Renard, to give them an opportunity.
Well, here is Reinders now from the goal kick, striding into the area, finding Gakpo. Good goalkeeping though by Darman to dive at his feet and deny the Liverpool striker.
Darman has to have more support here. The amount of time Tunisia are turning the ball over in really dangerous areas, they need to help the goalkeeper out. And And if I was him, I'd be having a real go at the players playing in front of me, because too many times, under no pressure whatsoever, they're turning it over, and then he's having to try and bail them out.
Ayman Darman, one of the home-based players in the Tunisia team. And Mohamed Ben Hamida from Esperance, one of the big clubs in Tunisia, has also come into the side today, but the bulk of their side are across Europe. It's Gakpo comes in field now. Their final group game in Qatar 4 years ago, I was there at Education City when they beat France 1-0, and that was a memorable moment, but only their third win in 8 World Cups. As Brobbey breaks into the penalty area, and a good challenge in the end to deny him from Shaqiri, because Brobbey again had found space, and Shaqiri had to time that challenge and did.
Yeah, it's been a really good battle between them two. The captain's done great there. You actually fancy Brobbey because he got the ball, he's pinned him, he's got the low grab that the referee can't see, and you think half a yard he can get the shot off, but actually Shaqiri does great there to get the block in, and I'm really enjoying seeing that battle.
Now Marlon coming in field, Gakpo peels away to the left, Marlon may look to go alone, he's now found Gakpo, Brobbey waits at the far post, the cross is high in and cleared away by Shaqiri. But the header in field from Gabi is straight to Ake, and now Reinders wide towards Gakpo again. 4 waiting inside the penalty area for the cross. Gakpo swings it high to the far post. Dumfries heads it back into the penalty area, but everybody had been sucked towards the 6-yard area, and the ball dropped behind him.
Yeah, same movements in the box. You know, we were taught this as a 4 or 5 year old kid. You make your front post, back post, but you have to have someone there for the cutback, and it's actually a really good header back by Dumfries. Someone has to be there looking to tap that in, and it's good play by Gakpo as well. I think he's actually tried to freshen his game up a bit, look to go down the line a couple of times and not be so predictable today.
Now Van Hecke square to Van Dijk, and again Van Dijk has got time to assess his options and go back towards Van Hecke. Dumfries is wide on the right hand side, that's where Marlon is telling him to put the ball. It's a very tight game in Dallas, still 0-0 between Japan and Sweden, although it's one of those situations which we will see a good deal, I think, over the next few days, where a point suits both teams, particularly with the Netherlands winning so comfortably here. Now Van Hecke infield towards Van Dijk. De Jong flicks it wide towards Dumfries, who comes in field, left foot shot from him, never quite got hold of it, and Darman is able to go down and make a simple save.
They all want a piece now, don't they? And why not? You know, it's a great touch, lovely ball out to the right hand side. Dumfries is in acres of space, he's always an outlet for this Dutch team, and actually takes a really nice touch inside. It's on his weaker foot, but he has a pop. The other centre forwards in the box aren't too happy. I'd probably be the same, to be honest.
Ben Slimani wide towards Valery on this near side for Tunisia, and Valery was offside. He had to be looking along the line there.
I mean, it's so basic, it really is. I'm trying to find positives. You know, I don't want to sound as if I'm being ultra hard on them, but it just really has been a really poor 45 minutes. I came into the game today thinking, okay, they're going to make this as tough a game as they possibly can for the Dutch, but it hasn't been at all.
Now a low ball into the penalty area from Dumfries on the right. 30 seconds or so of normal time to play in the first half here, with the Dutch 2 up, 2 very early goals, and there could have been more, but Tunisia have also had their moments, but defensively they've been clinging on at times as well. Now Ake at walking pace inside the centre circle. Gravenberg has got time to find Dumfries once again, and De Jong comes short. Now Dumfries on towards Marlon, and again Tunisia finding it very hard to pick up the runners here. We're into a minimum of 3 more minutes at the end of this first half on TalkSport 2. And before we went on the air, we were talking about playing walking football, and this is what the Dutch are doing here.
Absolutely, and the problem as well is with the back 5, if you've got 3 centre halves focusing on Brobbey, which then allows so much more free players for the Dutch in midfield, out wide. almost the back five aren't really doing anything at times. There's no pressure whatsoever on the ball. Someone has to release earlier.
Now Marlon down the right hand side. Dumfries makes the run further forward, but then I think he went too soon and he was offside, so as a result the ball bobbles out of play and it will be a goal kick.
I think Marlon's the one player in this team that's under a little bit of pressure. Not pressure necessarily because he's had a decent first half, but when you look through this starting 11, yes, Ake's come in obviously because of the yellow card, but I think when you talk about competition for places, the starting 11 picks itself, but I do think Somerville will be licking his lips thinking that he can come on second half and put in a better performance than Marlon's done in this first half.
And there's also Memphis Depay as well, the all-time top goal scorer, looking to become only the third Dutch player to score in 3 different World Cups. This is played wide by De Jong towards Dumfries again. Of course, we've seen Gakpo and Brobbey score goals so far, but Marlon is yet to find the back of the net. Virgil van Dijk has also been on the score sheet in the opening game.
And it makes me question as well, what is his strongest position? Because he started the first game in that number 9 role, didn't he, Marlon? And now he's been kind of put out wide because of Brobbey's performance.
Now Dumfries with the cross in, which took a deflection, headed away at the near post. Now Hannibal finding Ben Slimani, and he's got the room to break into the final minute of added time at the end of the first half here. Tunisia 0, Netherlands 2. Valerie back towards Hannibal again, onto the right foot, swirls a high cross in towards that far post, and in the end it's controlled well by Ali Abdi down the left. He does have some support from Khedira, but Hannibal finding Garbi. Garbi had that great chance at 0-0, slides the ball into Morastir, but he can't get the shot in. Hannibal then tries to head the clearance back towards the penalty area.
Hannibal's been brilliant though. I mean, I know he's giving the ball away there, but at least he's trying to make something happen. He's trying to thread a pass through. He's been probably the one bright spark in his first half.
But that's it, half time. Well, they were waiting to start the game and they had the big countdown, and then Tunisia realised, I think, that Hannibal wasn't on the field of play.
I mean, that just absolutely sums up their first half, to be honest.
Well, we've had about 2 false starts now, but our Mexican referee, Katia Garcia, has finally counted everybody up, and we're okay to start again in torrential rain here at Arrowhead Stadium.
They're actually missing a player still, Tunisia.
They are, aren't they? Yeah.
This is what we're waiting for. I mean, how ridiculous is this?
It's the captain, Enes Shaqiri. Well, he had a bad start to the game. He scored an own goal. His number 17 is barely stuck to the back of his shirt. So clearly they were trying to sort something out during half-time. He did change his shirt during the first half. And finally, we are back underway. And it's one of those days where you don't want any more delays, because you just get the feeling that in terms of the weather, this game is treading a fairly fine line at the moment.
Yeah, I've been played in America myself, and you can get caught with some really bad weather conditions, so just praying that that's not the case.
Well, the Dutch moving forward now, playing from left to right in the second half, and many of the fans in the lower tiers have vacated their seats and tried to get some cover elsewhere in Arrowhead Stadium, because the rain is getting heavier and heavier, but no sign of thunder and lightning at the moment as the Dutch come forward on this near side. Brobbey looking to hold off the central defender once again, and he's done a really good job to cause problems for Rani Khedira. The Dutch team again: Verbruggen in goal, Dumfries, Van Hecke, Van Dijk and Ake, Gravenberg, De Jong and Reinders, Marlon, Brobbey and Gakpo. And it's the Dutch coming forward again here with Marlon down the right. Now Dumfries all the way back to Van Hecke. The Tunisia team, Diamond in goal. Valerie and Abdi are the two wing-backs. Talbi, Shaqiri and Ben Hamida, the back three. Ben Slimani, Garbi, Khedira and Hannibal across midfield, with Mastori very much the lone striker in attack.
I think what I've been really impressed with the Dutch team is actually whoever's filled in, or if there has been a little tweak in personnel, that the partnerships are still there. Everyone's very comfortable with their roles and positions, and there's been some really lovely partnerships down both flanks, to be honest.
Well, the Tunisians have a free kick now on the far side. It's played high towards Mastori. He and Slimani cause sufficient problems for Valerie to try and move forward, but in the end it's the Dutch who win it back. And so many of their players have strolled through this game, and I don't mean in a bad way.
No, and I think also longer term, I think this is a really positive thing, because for a lot of teams they're going to have had to have played 3 really competitive games, and it's going to have taken it out of them physically and mentally. Whereas actually for this Dutch team, probably the last game against Sweden was quite comfortable, 5-1. And today, like you said, they haven't got out of first gear whatsoever, and they'll be able to make changes as well, probably come that 60-minute mark.
Also back underway in Dallas, it's 0-0 between Japan and Sweden. As Marlon comes forward now for the Netherlands, finding De Jong. And De Jong has got some support, and he finds it from Ake. And now it's wide to Gakpo again, looking to attack the penalty area. Cuts inside, lofts it high towards the far post. Dumfries allows it to bounce and then hooks it very, very deep. So deep, in fact, one bounce straight out of play for a throw-in on the far side.
You know what? You almost wonder how defenders can't defend against Gakpo, because you know what he's going to do every single time he gets the ball. He wants to chop in, but every single time, fair play to him, he always gets the cross off, the delivery off. That one wasn't the best. There wasn't a lot of weight on it, and actually Dumfries, I think, goes to take the shot rather than crosses it in. But he's had a lot of joy, Gakpo, with cutting in, and you know he's going to do that every single time, and it just blows my mind that Tunisia haven't been able to deal with that better.
The winner of this group will play Morocco in Monterrey on Monday. And the Dutch have been travelling around so far. The runner-up meeting Brazil and Houston on the same day. And the third place team could meet Mexico, Switzerland, the USA or Germany, depending on how things shake down elsewhere towards the end of the group stage. Dallas, Houston and Kansas have been the 3 cities for the Netherlands so far. And they're heading south of the border to Monterrey as things stand.
You just feel as if the tempo's dropped slightly. You know, from a selfish point of view, I really want them to be ruthless and go again in this second half. But you can also understand they want to just manage the game. They want to see the game out, and they don't have to quicken the game up.
Not quite got their passing radar right early in the second half. Reinders with a long diagonal ball forward, looking for Dumfries down the right-hand side, but it's overhit and out of play for a goal kick. Only Reinders, but very soon have Elliot Anderson alongside him in the Manchester City midfield for next season.
It's a really lovely story that actually when Forest played Liverpool, actually was working the boxes, and I met Elliot's mum and dad, and actually obviously he's lost his mum recently, and it's such a sad story, but they are so proud of him, both of them, and he just seems like such a humble guy, so it's great to see him get that move. He didn't want to leave Newcastle either, but it's worked out for him in the long run.
Now Marlon coming forward now for the Netherlands, cuts inside from the right, has support from Reinders. Gakpo swings the high ball in, Brave shaping for the header, it comes to Dumfries who hits it, and it's blocked on the goal line. It was a really good clearance in the end, I think, from Valerie, because that shot from Dumfries was heading for the top corner.
Yeah, it was. What a block that was. Don't think he knew much about it, to be honest, but just decided to get his body in the way, and actually I think it was the back of him that stopped the shot. But it's a lovely ball in. Robbie is a nuisance, and he hits it cleanly. It's going in there, and actually I think it might be the captain, just purely because you can see the number on the back of his shirt still hanging off. Yeah, it is Shaqiri there, that as it comes in, big block by the captain. He's done that a couple of times this evening.
And Dumfries really caught it on the volley, and it was Shaqiri. And his name and number are hanging very limply now off the back of his white shirt as Van Hecke brings a long ball down on the far side. Still 0-0, early stages of the second half in Dallas between Japan and Sweden. The current situation in this group, the Netherlands 7 points, Japan 5 points, Sweden 4 points, and Tunisia for the first time will have no points at the end of a World Cup campaign. And only 3 wins in 21 games. They beat the French 4 years ago, and they beat Mexico on their debut back in 1978, and Panama in England's group in 2018. Only Scotland have played in more World Cups and never got beyond the group stage. Now Gravenberg with a low ball into the penalty area. Hannibal will break things up for Tunisia, and he can now move it over the halfway line as he gets it back from Garvey. And he's got support here, Hannibal. He makes a run to the penalty area, Ben Slimani. And now Valery, the low ball in towards the near post, looking for Mastori, but it's smuggled behind by Van Hecke for a corner.
That actually deserves more. And who's involved? Again, it's Hannibal. He's the one that picks up initially in their own box. He drives, lovely little 1-2, continues then to drive, picks out a lovely pass to find Valery on the right hand side. But again, it's the pick out. No pressure whatsoever. 4 bodies in the box and hits the defender. I mean, that's simple, to be honest. You've got to beat the first defender there. That would have been a great goal and one that they deserved.
Corner kick for Tunisia. 8 minutes into the second half on TalkSport 2. In monsoon conditions in Kansas. Hannibal's delivering, the header is in! And Hazim Mastori has scored for Tunisia. A really good centre-forward's header. Excellent corner from Hannibal. And Mastori able to guide it low beyond the Bruggen to make it Tunisia 1, Netherlands 2.
Wow, game on. I mean, no one saw this coming. But it's a free header. It's just bullied. I think it's Reinders there. But it's lovely. It's headed down into the ground. Keeper has no chance whatsoever. It's in the side netting. And from a game that was completely comfortable, 2-1, they're right back in it now. And they deserve that. When you talk about the amount of chances they created in the first half and didn't take them, you knew that they were going to get that and make that 7 games now with no clean sheet in a row. That's an issue for the Netherlands.
Well, I'm sure Ronald Koeman will not be happy because there is a check. Eric Miranda, the VAR official, is just having a look at something. I could only imagine it would be a push by Mastori on Reinders potentially, but it looked to be okay. But Katia Garcia, our referee, has had the check. She's had the word. And I think the goal has been given. Indeed it has. And Tunisia are back in the game at 2-1.
And we talked about the quarters, didn't we? Poor first quarter, 2-0 down. Got themselves, not back in the game, but got to half-time, still 2-0. Now they've given them a great opportunity in this kind of third quarter, I guess. That's how you've got to break the game down when you're playing against a team that is better than you man for man.
Well, the Netherlands won't want to drop points here because that would leave them vulnerable to a Japan goal against Sweden. This is played wide by Ake to Gakpo on the left-hand side. Ake again, he's got support from De Jong. And now Gakpo, Reinders in support. Robbe waits on the edge of the 6-yard area, and now Ake with a cross in which is very deep, too deep in the end, but there was no shout for Ali Abdi, and he hooks it behind for a corner under no pressure.
Oh, that's a really poor decision by such an experienced player as well. Abdi has to check his shoulder, but his body positioning was all wrong. Couldn't see ball in player, so he's ended up kicking it out for a corner when no one was anywhere near him, and then you give the Dutch a great opportunity here.
Gianni Reinders will take the corner kick on this near side. The Netherlands lead trimmed to 2-1. Reinders' delivery headed away at the near post. Now it's gathered by Gravenberg. Swept wide towards Reinders again, and infield to Van Hekke down the Dutch right-hand side, but he's forced to go all the way back to Gravenberg. And now De Jong. And Japan have just taken the lead against Sweden. 10 minutes into the second half, so that would haul Japan level on points and level on goal difference currently with the Netherlands. The Netherlands would be leading the group on goals scored. But that's bad news for Sweden. And if Japan can rack up a few goals, potentially better news for Scotland, because Sweden would be one of those teams on 3 points, third place in the group.
Wow, what a group this has been. This is what we want, don't we? And I'm sure there's going to be more twists and turns.
And the Dutch come forward again now on this near side. And that goal for Japan has been announced around the stadium. Daisen Maeda, the player who scored it, and there was certainly a frisson of tension maybe from the Dutch supporters, who are currently contemplating a very, very damp end to this game in Kansas now. But the situation at the top of this group is now incredibly tight. The Netherlands 7 points with a goal difference of +5. Japan 7 points with a goal difference of +5. The Netherlands have scored 9, conceded 4. Japan have scored 7, conceded 2. So one more goal for Japan and they will go top of the group, and it could be the Netherlands against Brazil.
I think they have to make changes, the Dutch. I'll be very surprised if within the next few minutes we don't make changes, because they really haven't arrived in this second half, to be honest.
And Sweden currently third. They have 3 points and a goal difference of -1, so that would still leave them above Scotland as it stands. They're currently the third highest ranking third place team, behind Ecuador and Bosnia, who are both guaranteed to go through. And Scotland, looking over their shoulders, they are 8th out of 8. And we've still got teams like Belgium, Senegal, maybe Saudi Arabia beneath them, who could overtake them over the weekend.
See, this is where the Dutch now, for me, even though we talked about the walking football in the first half at times, they still passed the ball quickly. They moved it quickly. Whereas now, Virgil van Dijk standing on the ball, slowing the game down. They have to start moving it quicker. It's too easy for Tunisia. They don't have to move. All they have to do is shift. Physically, that's not very hard.
An hour played. Tunisia 1, Netherlands 2. But the Dutch may need more goals here. Ake plays it into the penalty area. And the shot driven in by Gakpo, but it takes a deflection, loops high into the air, and it's cleared away on this near side, and it will be a throw-in for the Netherlands. And every goal really matters now, and that Tunisia goal has really given Japan an opportunity. One more goal and they top the group, unless the Dutch can score one themselves.
And I'll be surprised as well if that hasn't been, spoken to, on the sideline.
Now Marlon.
Let the players know.
Marlon with a high cross to the far post, looking for Gakpo, but it's defended well by Valery, who nods it behind for a corner. And there's more urgency now from the Dutch. They've clearly had word of the Japanese goal against the Swedes in Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely that. I've been in positions like this before where you're just trying to focus on your own game, but you can feel it in the crowd. They'll know what's happening in the other game. The manager will. They absolutely need to lift it this last 30 minutes.
That goal from Hatem Mastori on his World Cup debut has made things very interesting. But now the Dutch restore their 2-goal lead, and it may well go down as another own goal Anis Ben Slimani got the final touch. It was flicked on by John Paul Van Hecker at the near post. He's claiming the goal, but Ben Slimani diving in, nodding the ball over his own goalkeeper, and the Netherlands restore their 2-goal lead and have breathing space once again at the top of Group F.
And again, it's a set piece, it's a corner. Really well worked, lovely movement to the front there by Van Hecker, and it's a great flick on. And then really, it's a gambling game. Slimane's tried to get something on it, but has ended up flicking it into his own goal. Virgil van Dijk's behind him again. If he doesn't get it, it's a nice tap-in for him. But how frustrating for Tunisia to get themselves back in the game, showed really positive signs, and then within a few minutes you've gone and conceded, and then you just made your evening a really tough one. But credit to the Netherlands as well. We spoke about, have they heard the news? Within a couple of seconds they've upped their game, they've gone and scored a goal.
Well, John Paul Van Hecker has been given the goal for now. That could be his first international goal for the Netherlands. His header was on target before it was nodded up over his own goalkeeper by Anis Ben Slimani. And the Netherlands coming forward again now. Gakpo finding Reinders left-hand side of the penalty area, looking to create the space, almost flicks it in field, but Ben Slimani will clear. But there's an equaliser for Sweden in Dallas. It is 1-1. Anthony Elanga has equalised for Sweden against Japan, and suddenly the Netherlands are 2 points clear at the top of the group again.
Twists and turns. I said it, didn't I, that there was going to be an Elanga. I mean, credit to him, 2-2 now. Now he's flying at the moment, and I'm sure there's going to be more. What a goal, by the way.
We're just watching on the monitor the Anthony Elanga goal, lashed in from outside the penalty area. So Japan were not ahead for very long, barely 5 minutes, and in that time the Netherlands have gone 3-1 up here. So that's also not great news for Scotland, because it puts Sweden a point clear of them, and they're going to be one of the teams going through to the round of 32 as well. At the moment, the big news early tonight, Ecuador beating Germany to end Germany's winning streak. Ecuador also going through as a third place team, and as things stand, they're in line to play England in the round of 32, just as they did 20 years ago. And David Beckham's free kick turned out to be the only goal. But the Netherlands now the joint top scorers in this tournament. They've got 10 goals, 3 here tonight, level with Germany. And also in that group involving Germany and Ecuador, the Ivory Coast sealing second place with a 2-0 victory against Curacao, so they've qualified for the knockout phase for the first time. As Hannibal plays it wide to this far side again, and Valery Mastori, the Tunisian goal scorer, is in support, and he lets fly from the edge of the penalty area, have better options, and in fairness to him, quickly apologises as the shot bobbles into the arms of Bart Verbrugge.
I am really surprised there hasn't been any changes, especially for the Dutch team. You go 3-1 up. I'll be very surprised now if they don't go on to win this game. But, you know, injuries, fresh legs, I think it's really important that you use the whole squad, especially in the group stage.
There will be 2 changes very soon for Tunisia. Elias Ashkuri, one of those, the Copenhagen winger, he'll be coming on. The ball is played into the penalty area once again. Dahlmann comes out to clear it, and the shot is over the goalkeeper, hits the underside of the crossbar from Reinders. Reinders again fires the ball in. Dumfries does well to keep the ball alive at the far post, but his header goes right through the penalty area and out for a throw-in on the far side.
Oh, he's got a big smile on his face there. Really unlucky by Reinders. It's a lovely touch with his thigh, and he can't do much more than that. It hits the crossbar, inches away from scoring a wonder goal.
Well, it was Talby who was leaping on the goal line. I don't think he got a touch as it came off the underside of the crossbar and bounced the right side of the line for Tunisia. Still 3-1 to the Netherlands here, 1-1 in Dallas between Japan and Sweden, and it's going to be a triple change for Tunisia as they chase this game. And Mortada Ben Onas, another wide player, will also be coming on. The first player to make way is Anis Ben Slimane, and he will be replaced by Belhaj Mahmoud. And the Lugano midfielder comes on. So Khedira, Slimane and Ben Himda replaced by Haj Mahmoud, Ashkuri and Benouaz.
Substitution for Tunisia.
I think it's a good move. You know, yes, they're 3-1 down, but you know how quickly the game can change. All they need is one goal, and then you go into it with 20 minutes left. So fresh legs, I think, is really important at this stage of the game.
Replaced by number 7, Ilyas Ashuri.
Hannibal now coming forward for Tunisia, but he's lost out, and Marlon will try and find Brobe on the edge of the penalty area. Brobe leaves it for Reinders. The shot's turned aside. Good save by Darman, and it's scrambled away by Tunisia. But now Reinders again. Back in field towards De Jong. De Jong with the cross in. Brobe at the far post is beaten to it this time by Abdi. And Dumfries comes across to make the challenge on Ashkuri. And he wants to throw in. I think we're due a break now for hydration. And that's what's happening. And you can hear the boos from the crowd again. Not too happy that we've got a break in play in what's been a very good game in the second half since Tunisia scored.
I mean, it's never going to change, is it? I'm not too sure why the fans are booing every single game. I mean, they're letting them know that they're not happy with it, but they're going to continue to do these breaks. So I think it's something that they're going to have to get used to for the rest of the tournament.
But the Dutch yet to make a change in this game. Grenada's chopped and changed during the second half, and he's seen his team show some character, cutting the lead to 2-1 before conceding another goal from a set piece themselves.
It does make me wonder though why the Dutch haven't made any changes. Surprises me because he hasn't been shy to do that in the past games. You know, does he fully trust his squad? You know, I think they're in a comfortable enough position now, and they've got good enough players. And I think if I was the likes of a Somerville, I'd be really annoyed that I'm not getting enough game time now. You know, that he's come on, he's done it, he started the first game, scored, came on and scored in the second game. Why are you not giving these players opportunities?
They're also hydrating in Dallas, where it's 1-1 between Japan and Sweden. And you can follow the end of the USA group here on TalkSport 2 at 3 a.m. Turkey against the USA with Ian Danta and Luke Chambers. Over on TalkSport, Cameron Pope and Alvin Martin will bring you Paraguay against Australia. They've still got a good deal to play for. And of course England next in action Saturday night, 10 o'clock kickoff against Panama with Adrian Durham, Jim Proudfoot, Stuart Pearce and the team. And by then we should have a much better idea of what's going to happen to Scotland, because tomorrow night Senegal play Iraq. That's a game which they'll be keeping an eye on, and also Cape Verde meet Saudi Arabia, and the Uruguay-Spain as well. If that's a draw, then Uruguay could be in third place territory. They would also have a better record than Scotland. 20 minutes to play here on TalkSport 2. The Netherlands leading by 3 goals to 1, and we are going to see some Dutch changes now. Toyin Koopmeiners will be coming on along with Crescencio Somerville, and it's Frankie de Jong who makes way for Koopmeiners, the Juventus midfielder. And Crescencio Somerville will also be coming on along with Justin Kluivert. So Koopmeiners, Kluivert and Somerville coming onto the field of play for the Netherlands, and Kluivert gets his first taste of action.
Yeah, I think that'll be really interesting as well to see how all these attacking players fit in as well.
First involvement now for Somerville, who's come off the bench and scored in his 2 previous games. Gianni Reinders also making way as well.
Netherlands exiting the match, number 21, Frankie de Jong, replaced by number 20, Turner Koolmeiners.
Now Somerville down the left-hand side.
Gianni Reinders, replaced by number 7, Justin Kluivert. And exiting number 18,
Now Van Hecker, who was claiming that third goal.
number 24, Vicencio Somerville.
Right towards Somerville. Somerville and Dumfries now down the right-hand side. Somerville looking to go himself. And it was infield looking for Koopmeiners, but cut out well by Mastori. And there was the potential for a counter-attack there for Tunisia, but it doesn't quite come off. Belhaz Mahmoud was closing down the Bruggen, but now the Dutch will come forward again.
Yeah, Dumfries has been solid today defensively and going forward. I think it's Kluivert that's just kind of playing off of the front three, but it's a really positive attacking change.
Kluivert playing on the left-hand side, Somerville on the right replacing Marlon, and Koopmeiners just sitting in the middle in the de Jong role. I thought Memphis Depay would be keen to get on and maybe get his World Cup goal in this game as well, but not so far.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can imagine that maybe at 15 minutes, 10 minutes, I'm sure he'd love more. But also I think in tournament football, when players are in form, you want to continue to give them that game time. And Brobbey is, he's been vital. He's been a bit more quieter this second half, probably hasn't been getting the service that he was getting in the first half, but also credit to Tunisia because I think their man marked him better in the second half.
Well, they'll be disappointed with the manner of the goals. They've now conceded 12 goals in this group, which is the most since North Korea back in 2010. And that included a 7-0 loss to Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal. 14 minutes to play. Tunisia 1, the Netherlands 3. We're about to see another sub here for Tunisia. And it's Ismail Gabi who was going off, and Firas Shawat will be coming on. 14 goals in the Tunisian league for Club Africain this season. And Shawat will go alongside the main striker, Mastori.
Yeah, good change again. Another positive change player that's very direct. And I think after this game, whatever role Renard plays moving forward with this Tunisia team, I guess you can say that it's been an improvement. Has it been a good enough improvement in this third game? No, but from 5-0, 4-0 to potentially a 3-1 situation against probably the strongest team in the group, much more positive signs today, but still a lot of work moving forward.
Well, the group winners at the moment, 2 points clear of Japan, with Anthony Elanga equaliser for Sweden in Dallas, cancelling out the goal from Daisen Maeda.
The total attendance for this
Now a good turn from Mastori on the edge of the penalty area. He goes down. His shirt was also pulled inside the area. I suppose the question is, did he go down under contact or because his shirt was pulled? But now Hannibal coming forward now, and he fires at a shot. Good shot as well, which is tipped over the top by Verbruggen.
What a player he is, by the way, Hannibal. I look forward to watching more of him. But this was a close one, this. You could easily see this given, but no. He goes down too easy. It's a shame, actually, because he did brilliant to actually get through and into a really good area. But no, I think he's just more hopeful then. It's actually really good refereeing, and then it comes back out to Hannibal, who cuts in on his left, and it's a strong shot, but quite comfortable for the keeper, right out the keeper who tips it over.
Well, corner kick's being given. And if there was a check, it was a very brief one. And Hannibal will take this. They scored from the previous corner on this side from Hannibal, which was headed in by Mastori. Hannibal's delivery over the head of Mastoria this time. Cleared as far as Ashorni, who hits it, but gets right underneath it, and it's high over the top. 14 minutes to play. And the Netherlands still leading by 3 goals to 1. And it's still 1-1 between Japan and Sweden in Dallas. So now we will see Memphis Depay. He comes on for Brian Brobbey. His 112th appearance, now plays in Brazil for Corinthians.
Substitution for
55 goals for Memphis Depay, the all-time top goal scorer.
replaced by number 10.
He scored 6 goals in his 5 previous finals. And now looking to join Ian Robben and Robin van Persie, the only players to score in 3 different World Cups.
And what a story as well. What a story from where he's come from, what he's been through. He's always been a top player. Someone that, give him half a chance, is going to put the ball in the back of the net. And he's got a good 15 minutes now to have an impact in this game, because second half it probably hasn't been as exciting as it was. And an opportunity to try and break into that starting 11. It's hard because Brobbey really has turned it on the last couple of games, but he'll be wanting to do as much as he can to get more game time as they progress through this tournament.
Well, Depay got 8 goals in 8 games in the qualification. Koopmeiners with the free kick here, high towards Van Dijk, who wins the header, but the eventual effort is too close to Ayman Dama.
They're so strong on set pieces, aren't they? And I think that's where Tunisia will be frustrated, like you said, with how they have conceded the goals. 2 set pieces and from a wide area. And that's really where the Dutch are at their strongest. And it's a massive weapon, by the way, moving forward as well.
Belhaj Mahmoud has now been penalised for a shove on Nathan Ake, so it's a free kick for the Netherlands. And they are pretty comfortable now once again with that 2-goal lead, and they'll be aware of what's going on in Dallas. And it's become a real slugfest in the second half as Japan and Sweden look to finish second in the group, as Justin Kluivert has been fouled on the far side, and it will be a free kick for the Netherlands, which is level with the edge of the penalty area. And Kluivert yet to score an international goal. But he's established himself now as a very good Premier League striker.
But by Mahmoud as well, who's come on. You can see the 2 goals from set pieces. Every single time the Dutch have had a set piece that looked like scoring, then you give away a needless foul again in a wide area. Silly.
Free kick which Koopmeiners will deliver high towards that far post. Van Hekke wins the header, and then Ake loops it onto the roof of the netting. But how many free headers have the Dutch had?
Way too many, to be honest. It's not actually a great delivery in. It's a bit loopy. Just watching the goal back there by Mastori. It's a great header, it really is. Good number 9 play. Tiny little shove to get him that half a yard, but heads it down into the corner. And that'll be a moment for him to look back at his career. Not many people can say that they've scored in a World Cup.
That's played forward by Hannibal again, but Van Dijk just lumps it over the top, encouraging Gakpo to chase. And Van Dijk again slipped in towards Depay. He tried to find Kluivert, but it's brought clear by Hannibal on the far side, the Tunisian right. Hannibal will be playing in the Championship as it stands next season with Burnley, but he may have 1 or 2 suitors in the Premier League.
I was about to say, if you're watching him and the way he performs and how comfortable he is on the ball, and this is in a really struggling team, and he still stood out for me in this game, I'd be definitely trying to snap him up.
Now Gravenberg, he's lost out to Ashori, and now Mastori plays it forward, and Ashori on this near side leads it for Abdi, but the cross is delivered into the arms of Verbruggen, and the flag was up for offside anyway.
I think the Dutch overall can be really happy with the game. I think the game was kind of won within the first kind of 20 minutes, and I think this is where starting games is so important. Yes, they dropped off and at times you can understand that, you know, when the game is so comfortable for so long. A little tiny scare, but then I think the way they've responded and then seen this game out, I'm excited to see them move forward and see what they can do actually when they really are challenged against some top teams.
At the moment they'll be playing Morocco in the round of 32, and that's going to be a really big game. And they will be challenged by them, certainly. As Darman works it wide to this near side, and as it stands in this group, Japan will be playing Brazil. And that's going to be an interesting game as well. And I'm not sure who you'd rather play, because both teams have been pretty much on the level so far. Coming up after us at 3 o'clock, we have the USA against Turkey. And let's get the team news with Ian Danton.
Took me a long time to go through it specifically, nice, but just to say, multiple changes from both managers. Turkey already eliminated make 7 changes, including bringing Barış Yilmaz into midfield. For America, they basically left out all the players on a booking, and only Pepe and McKennie are kept in from the team that beat Australia. So 9 changes for the United States, who take on Turkey at 3 a.m. live on TalkSport 2.
Cheers, Dance. USA going through, Turkey going home at the end of that game. And we have 7 minutes to play here. And it's 3-1 to the Netherlands. And they could have had a real hatful in this game, but Tunisia have shown some steel in the second half. The Netherlands have had 20 attempts on goal, 7 on target. And now Noah Lang will be coming on, the Galatasaray forward who has been on loan from Napoli this season, and he will replace Koda Gakpo.
Yeah, he's only had a minute so far in the World Cup, so he'll be happy to get a few more, at least 10 minutes where he can have an impact and have a go.
Noah Lang, who featured on a regular basis in Europe for Galatasaray this season. Tunisia, who now pump a free kick long, looking for Mastori, but Van Dijk wins it in the air. Gravenberg holding off Hannibal, and Ake will now play it through. Ake was caught late there. We might see our first card of the day. Katia Garcia choosing to keep them in her pocket. It was certainly late from Shower catching Ake, but it was a handshake and no more.
Yeah, I quite like that, how the referees just allowed that to play on. You know, could have easily been a yellow, but has tried to let the game flow, and the players then got up and hasn't made as big a deal of it. Good refereeing.
Back with Verbruggen again. The Netherlands now just looking to play this out. All of the tension at the end of this group is really in Dallas. It's 1-1 between Japan and Sweden. Sweden pushing hard for the winning goal at the moment, which would carry them into second place. Now Clyburn for the Netherlands. Drills in a cross, which is blocked by Shaqiri, and out of play for a corner kick. And we've got a number of players on the field now for the Netherlands who'll be looking to stay playing with bigger games to come.
And also gives them so many different dynamics as well. You know, Robbie is a bit more of an old school centre forward, wants to stay within the post, wants to be that target man. Now you've got Depay, who likes to move and run channels, the same with Kluivert and Somerville. So, you know, it gives Tunisia a different headache, but it also gives different dynamics to this Dutch team.
Corner kick for the Netherlands again. In towards that near post, it drops to Van Dijk, but he's just squeezed out in the end, but he maintains possession. Now was he fouled there? The cross is fired into the penalty area. In the end, Tunisia will win the ball clear, but I wonder if that will be checked for the challenge on Van Dijk inside the penalty area there.
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, it's not often you see Van Dijk go down that easy, but the referee has caused it, so I definitely do think something is being checked. Van Dijk isn't happy at all. He's walking back, limping.
We do do have a break in play here with 4 minutes to play. It was certainly an untidy challenge from Ashurnik on Van Dijk, but no penalty and we play on.
Yeah, correct decision. Wasn't a penalty. Looked actually worse in real life. But you were right. A little bit unorthodox defending there.
Sebastian Tuneci of Celtic will be coming on soon for Tunisia. There's Gravenberg, plays it back towards Somerville. Tricky play from him into the penalty area. Now Dumfries plays it in towards the high. He goes for the big overhead kick. It was almost the moment, but the shot was blocked. And now Hannibal charging over the halfway line, but he runs straight into Van Hecker, who thumps the ball against Hannibal. Van Hecker was then taken down late, but here is Dumfries coming forward now for the Netherlands. The crossing, though, is overhit, but gathered at the far post. And there's still an opportunity here, but the crossing delivered without the necessary quality from Noah Lang. And it's gathered by Ayman Dam.
I think that's a moment if I won't be wanting to watch back. It's completely air kicked, that overhead kick. I mean, fair play to even try and attempt that. But that's definitely one that he needs to maybe practice again. Big opportunity as well, only 5 yards out. Probably actually makes it a harder effort on goal than he needed to.
2 minutes of normal time to play on TalkSport 2. Tunisia 1, the Netherlands 3. Sweden are still drawing 1-1 with Japan. And that will put the Japanese through to meet Brazil in the round of 32. Sweden are currently the highest ranked third place team.
Big teams are going to be dropping out then already, and I think so early on in the tournament there's going to be some big teams that aren't going to be involved anymore.
Of course, Turkey, one of those, already eliminated, playing at 3 a.m. here on TalkSport. But at the moment, it's looking very comfortable for the Dutch. They will have Morocco in the early hours of Tuesday morning in Monterrey. Trying to finish with a flourish here, but a move breaks down for them. Mastoni hits it from inside his own half. I don't think Verbruggen was that far off his line, but the shot drifted wide anyway.
I mean, he's a number 9 that's full of confidence after scoring in the game today. And it's a wild, speculative effort from the halfway line, and he gets it wrong, but do you know what? I don't mind it. The game's done and dusted at the moment. You're a number 9 looking to try and get more goals in a World Cup. If you don't shoot, you don't score, and it's not a bad effort.
And now Mastoni comes off. That was his final touch, and replaced by
Substitution.
Sebastian Tuneci.
Exiting the match, number 9, Hassan Mastoudi.
Mastoni scoring on his World Cup debut, his 5th international goal.
Yeah, well, he's the only forward in the squad that's able to do that. You know, Tuneci's been involved in the first 2 games, but hasn't been able to get on the score sheet. So I think Mastoni had a decent enough game. It's hard in that number 9 lone role against the back 4, but he held it up well at times. He's got himself a goal, worked hard, run himself into the ground for 90 minutes.
And we're into a minimum of 5 more minutes. And it looks as though the rain has eased, and we've almost got through this game, which earlier on today looked to be in a degree of doubt due to the threat of storms around Kansas, but despite some very wet conditions in the second half, both teams have provided a very watchable game. Van Dijk swings a high ball wide to the near side. Somerville keeps it alive, heads it in play, and Dumfries now charging forward down the right. Ashuri holding him up. Ashuri now could do with some help inside his own penalty area. His clearance does find Hannibal, but he was challenged by Ake. 2 Tunisians go for the same ball. It drops to Depay inside the penalty area, but eventually The North Africans are able to clear, and Van Dijk will go all the way back to Verbruggen. They're into the 90th minute as well in Dallas. Still Japan 1, 2-1. They've got a bit twitchy for a few minutes for the Dutch when their lead was cut to 2-1 and Japan had the lead. But they have a 2-point cushion heading into the final moments of this game, and Noah Lang with a great run into the penalty area, nearly fell for Depay again, but it's hammered away. Van Dijk heads it forward, but Van Hecke will have to eventually tidy up under pressure from Hannibal, and we've got 3 minutes of added time to play.
Yeah, that's really nice by Lang, quite refreshing as well, because we're so used to seeing Gakpo on that side, always chopping on in his right, but actually Lang faces up and has a go, goes to the byline, and then it's a little bit unlucky. There are 4 bodies in the box, but he picks out a decent area. That's really good play there, 1v1 play by the wide player Lang.
Now Hannibal for Tunisia on the far side, down the line for Tuneki. He's got some support as Tunisia look to finish with something of a flourish here. Their World Cup journey will come to an end. They will have a corner kick as the cross in from the right hand side from Tuneki is deflected behind.
There is definitely something to work with here within the squad for Renard. I think that when they watch this game back and reflect on the amount of chances they have created, the amount of positive play that they've shown going forward, being able to score a goal and should have probably had 4 in my opinion. It's just defensively, you know, when you're going to concede goals, you want the team to have to work hard to score against you. They haven't had to do that today, the Dutch. They haven't had to work hard for any of the 3 goals.
They're into 7 minutes of added time in Dallas. It's still 1-1 between Japan and Sweden. Hannibal will take the corner kick here for Tunisia. And it's flighted in towards that 6-yard area, cleared as far as that shorty into the crowd, and it's Van Hecke who thumps the ball out of play on the far side for a throw-in. Tunisia finishing this game on the attack with Tuneki. Hannibal. Of course squeezed in, but only as far as Ake. Now Lang will try and bring it forward for the Netherlands into the final minute of added time. The Netherlands now have to prepare for a trip to Mexico. Their next game in Monterrey on Monday, so not too long to get acclimatized to different surroundings. We've seen some teams benefit from fixtures in the same stadium and some regional action, but not for the Netherlands. They've had a number of miles dropped up already, and that's going to continue. Tunisia try and come forward here in what could be their final attack. For the first time ever, they will lose all 3 games, but it's the Netherlands who go through as the group winners